And Bob Chapman is joining us today, and we want to talk about all this unrest in this country. The very fact that we could have a bus totally dismantled in Los Angeles, and yet CNN doesn't mention a word about it. There's unrest everywhere. Bob Chapman is the editor of the financial newsletter, The International Forecaster, at theinternationalforecaster.com. If you haven't gotten your complimentary copy, you can get it by going to theinternationalforecaster.com. Bob Chapman, thank you for joining us again today on the Power Hour.
Well, I'm all powered up and ready to go.
Well, I hope so, and I'm so glad to hear that. There is unrest everywhere in every part of the world, isn't there?
There certainly is, and the economies in all the countries have turned down, some more precipitous than others. There are countries that are very poor, that people are used to having nothing, that haven't had any demonstrations or violence. It's in the countries that are not used to having things go wrong that the problem is surfacing first and most quickly, and that's in the United States and Western Europe. And, historically they have been the most prosperous. And so, yes, I think you're going to continue to see it. Unemployment is going to continue to climb. For those of you who don't know, the real U6 figure is 20.4% unemployment. And at the close of short term, those who aren't getting checks anymore, part-timers who have been dropped from 40 to 30 hours a week, hypothetically, and the people who are discouraged and are not looking for work because they don't think there's any work for them out there. And so that's a real figure. And as that climbs, which I expect it to be 25% this year, it'll probably flatten out a bit next year between 25 and maybe slightly higher, depending upon the stimulus and how it's applied, because next year is a big year for stimulus spending because it's an election year. And after that, I think everything's going to break loose. So what you're seeing now is just the beginnings of what can be expected later on.
Well, we've got swine flu, we've got lone gunmen, we've got, you name it. Iran is all upset over, an election. And, of course, the United States already called it and said it was a fraud. We can't see that our own are ever a fraud, but we can always pick up on the ones over there, even though we haven't been there. It's just is so close to chaos is what frightens me. Then you've got Jim, I forget his name, Jim Smith, I believe it is, the advisor who says, get your gold out of the people that are keeping it for you right now. Gold is missing in Canada. Gold's missing elsewhere. They're auditing it, trying to find out where all the gold is gone. Get your own gold and put it in your own bank. Get an armored car and have it delivered to your bank for safekeeping. So I get it. We're supposed to take our gold from an unsafe bank to another unsafe bank. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's Jim Sinclair.
Oh, Sinclair, thank you.
You and I have been telling people as well, certainly as Midas, to take delivery of all your gold. And I've told people that since 1960. And that's the way to do it. And Sinclair is correct in saying get your money out of gold and silver certificates or get your money out of depositories. But, of course, as you pointed out, we don't want to move it from one unsafe place to another unsafe place. And so he's only partially right. And this happens so much with newsletter writers, which he is, and he's a former broker. He was my main competitor for years in the brokerage business. And I know him. I know of him quite well. And what he's doing here is making decisions. And he's very bright, mind you, and he inherited a great fortune and made it greater. But he does not want to admit the collusion behind the scenes of people internationally who want world government. He never speaks of it. He never alludes to the underlying problem. And you can't figure out what's going on unless you understand and accept the fact that there are a coterie of people who want total power. and he misses the point. And that's why he would tell them, his free subscribers, to move it from one bank to another when they should be moving it from the bank to the safe in their house or 6 feet deep in their backyard.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, I think, will, when you say to somebody, well, where do you put your gold and silver? In your bank, safety deposit box? Most people think automatically that's the place to go. And so, therefore, many people do that. And it's just kind of like with vaccine. They're going by what the television tells them. Vaccine, oh, yeah, well, I want to stay alive during this time. And people have no concept of what are in these vaccines. But television is really serving a point, because when Dr. Sanjay Gupta tells everybody to get their vaccine, then they're going to do it. Or Jim Sinclair tells them to move their money to the bank, they're going to do it. By the way, speaking of banks, how did we do over the weekend with any banks going to failure?
I didn't see any, but that doesn't mean that we didn't. We've been publishing on Friday night, and sometimes we don't get the word until Saturday, but I didn't see anything. So maybe they're saving them up for next week. I'd also like to comment on your previous caller, and the bottom line is, you have people like Shepard Smith who tirade about all of the people who don't agree with government or against them. This propaganda that comes out, and then you'll have Glenn Beck going the other way, saying we should do this, that, and the other thing, which is close to what should be done. And this is an integral part of propaganda. It's like the good guy, bad guy routine. And they will put out, people like Beck, 95% of the truth, and the other 5% is really what they want you to hear.
Good point.
And with Shepard Smith, I just think he fell off the deep end probably, but that was pure propaganda, and people can recognize that. So when you do that, it's dumb. But they do lots of dumb things, like putting me on Fox about 30 or 40 times in the last 3 months on HR 1207, which now has 225 co-sponsors. When I started, they had 100. And it wasn't only Fox, it was ABC and CBS. In fact, I just got off of ABC in Houston. I just did a program this morning. And so I guess because it's so much in the news, they said, okay, let them go on. And so we're getting our word out. We're getting our 2 cents worth in. And it's really working. I got an email this morning from someone who said, look, heads are starting to turn. And, that's a great start. People are starting to listen about the truth, not the garbage that they're getting on TV and in their newspapers and so on.
Absolutely. Heads are starting to turn. Well, now we've got to get people resisting, like with vaccines or whatever it is. We've got to get people doing more than that, and our job is not over. We're going to be right back with our guest today, Bob Chapman. 4-minute break. Stay tuned to the Power Hour. The Power Hour, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today. We are talking with Bob Chapman today. He is the editor of the newsletter, The International Forecaster, theinternationalforecaster.com. If you would like to get a copy, a gratuitous free copy to look at it and decide if that's what you would like to, if you'd like to take a subscription of it, the phone number is 877-479-8178, 877-479-8178. Check it out, and I think you're going to be sold on the International Forecaster. If you've listened to Bob Chapman at all, you know that he is way ahead of the times. Bob, we haven't talked about the stock market lately. We know gold and silver are kind of tenuous right now. Some people are saying it may drop back down into the 800s again before it moves on up. What do you see happening in the market?
Well, first of all, the market has been struggling from day to day at its current levels. The Dow Jones Industrial Average has gone all the way from 6,600 to about 8,800. And that's not unusual. It's called a bear market rally. and now it's showing signs of exhaustion. And I think that this morning it's down 100 points at 86.40. And I think it will continue through the summer to go lower. The earnings aren't there. And I think the efforts by the Working Group in Financial Markets to hold the market up were done specifically at these levels to allow banks and other financial institutions and other companies to sell stock in order to bolster up their balance sheets.